Ta-da! Welcome to Joseph's High Five in video number 13. Lucky 13 indeed. Of course, the general housekeeping as always. I don't know when these videos are going to be coming out. They just come out when they come out. I've lost my voice for the past 2 months with the flu, and I really didn't have a voice at all to go on with. And at the end of the day, we are delayed with many things, including the studio, which was supposed to be finished the previous Christmas and is still well under construction. Let's not focus on the negativity. Once again, general housekeeping. You don't need to subscribe to these channels or these videos or anything like that. I just like to share with you what I'm up to. Those of you that like music and hi-fi, again, I'm not an audiophile. I certainly am not expert in it. I'm just an enthusiast, and I'm just sharing my passion of music and what it's all about. So as promised, this particular video will take you back to the second video I ever did, talking about the inspiration about music and all the rest, and all the inaccuracies that go with this piece of artwork. Again, for those of you that have no idea what this is all about, please do go back and visit that second video. That's video number 2, talking about the inspiration. And I'm sure in the future we're going to talk about all the little inconsistencies about this belongs here and that belongs there. But once again, it was all just the concept designed to which in the framed version of this, which is in the house, people walk down the hallway, they spot an artist and say, oh, I haven't heard any Rush or Tool or Pearl Jam or, you know, perhaps something, perhaps some Adele or Dusty Springfield, Celine Dion, what have you. The point is, gets people talking, let's get some music on that turntable and just have a good time. And that's what it's all about. So at the end of the day, this was the original artwork that was supposed to be in the house, and thanks to a miscalculation during the printing process, it was all of 20 mils too big that it would not fit into the house once framed. So the theory is it's going to come back out here into the storage location. I was hoping to have all this framed up into a future location it's supposed to be in, which isn't quite finished, coming in off the mezzanine and lit up and all looking all magnificent. Well, that hasn't happened, and as I said, even though there's no guarantee when my videos will just magically turn up, the point is I wanted to get this one out a long time ago, so we better get stuck into it. This time we're not talking about the artist or any of that. We're not talking about the artwork. That was all discussed in the first one. We'll come back into more depth about these subcategories in the future, of course. But in the moment, I wanted to talk about the other brands that are mentioned around the rest of the artwork and why I took the time in putting them on there. There are some that aren't there that probably should, and some that need a little bit of explanation. And so anyone that's really interested in music and the production and all the rest of it, again, as mentioned, we're involved in the live sound. I go out DJing, we provide live sound equipment and hire equipment in the industry. So of course there's a vested interest in that for me as well. But let's just come in closer on some of these subcategories and just see some important names that of course you're going to recognize, and maybe some you weren't all that aware of, but just as important to the evolution of music. So let's go through and enjoy this. Well, let us get started now. So we're in the top left-hand corner up here. So at the end of the day, rock and roll evolution, let's make our way down. So this is the prime spot to be. And as a result, I think there's some pretty iconic names that any stage that you've seen your favorite performers on, you've most certainly seen some of these. So of course, it goes without saying, Marshall amplification. We've got Fender, of course, and Gibson guitars, Martin & Co guitars. Wham, of course, the Watkins electrical group. Iconic with the Pink Floyd sound and the alike. I mean, speakers that I absolutely love the horns on. I'd love to own some WEM equipment. I just love the logo and everything it went for. Clare Brothers, again, in this situation, we're talking about live sound reinforcement, line array PA systems. In fact, the last AC/DC tour, rock or bust, that I went to see, it was a full Clare Brothers system and truly something else to behold. Roland, again, keyboards and the alike, and other electronic devices, drum machines and the alike. So there's a lot to be said there. Ibanez, we've got Kurzweil as well with the keyboards, Ludwig, the drum kits, Pioneer is important to me, that's why it's here, and I've chosen the older one, not just because of course I have my old school Pioneer amplifier, but of course Pioneer in the sense of course with the DJ. Pioneer DJ has now become the industry standard for DJing at the end of the day. It's what we use, and that's why I think it's very important. I've always loved the traditional logo with the ohm symbol and a tuning fork. That's why it's there. Quite simple. And sure, microphone, equipment, I mean, that's what we use. Of course, I'm not Abbey Road. I don't have a great big archive full of all the different ranges of Neumann microphones and all the Sennheisers and all some really, truly special stuff. We just use Shure for our day-to-day stuff we always use. I'm very happy with it, and hence why it's there. We now move over to the right-hand side. Again, we're still in the top quadrant up here. Again, Mesa Boogie, amplification, Ampeg. We've got Moog, if you're listening to Alice Cooper at night, and what a true rock gentleman that he is. But Freaky Facts, of course, it is pronounced Moog. And of course, we're talking synthesizers here and the rest. Maya Sound, again, live sound reinforcement and the alike. DW Drumworks, we've got Koenig Maya. Of course, it's the stands that they make, you know, whether you listen to classical music, whether you're a DJ and you've got your speaker stands. This is the stand. I'm sorry, there's nothing else I would be using. They are just fantastic. May I just say, I've never had Koenig Maya stand go bad on me. All of them, they're still as good as the day they were new. Rickenbacker, again, with the guitars, we've got the Yamaha. Now, Yamaha in every sense that Yamaha obviously do, pianos, mixing consoles, you know, the instruments, you know, trombones, everything. I mean, Yamaha is a very important name, we all know. Dora, of course, is for the meters, which of course I have on my hi-fi. The industry standard when it comes to metering on music equipment and mixing and all the rest of it. QSC, again, amplification and PA loudspeakers. I'm quite happy to use QSC along with KV2 that we personally use. We're not a big thing. We don't do a lot of line array and stuff like that, which they do. But of course it's an important thing. What I've always loved about QSC is the fact that they do manufacture their amplifiers upside down. You know, they don't want the dust in it, all the rest of it. There's quite a lot to it, so I think it's important. Now, Steinway and Sons, I've always wanted to own a Steinway and Sons grand piano. I don't play piano. I don't think it's going to happen, but you know, but any more than Buzendorf and the rest, like or Fazioli, great pianos. I think it's really important that it needs to be there. And of course, Neve, any more than Midas as well. It's the consoles. So anyone that's into the recording studios and stuff like that, you'll certainly be very familiar with these names. And a lot of these consoles are what have delivered some of our absolute favorite albums that we've all listened to. So hence why that's there. So we're halfway down the artwork now on the left-hand side, and let's kick it off here. We've obviously got Avid, of course, with the Pro Tools and studio software. Tascam, again, recording equipment and the like. Tama, Sony, these are all names you all know, and most of it we're all coming into the more production side of things and studios and the like. PreSonus, again, consoles and the like. Rode microphones, in fact, things I do the voiceover with, I use Rode as well. A great Australian company, also managed to acquire the Nirvana unplugged guitar that was used, Kurt Cobain's. Anyway, but obviously being Australian, of course, I've got a very soft spot for that. Kukuzi, power management stuff. If you don't know a lot about this, again, especially if you're on tour, you're a guitarist or something like that, you might be using it. I want to be putting in a Kukuzi power conditioner for my hi-fi setup. I would sooner be putting something in like that than a PS audio conditioner or something like that. But that's only because there's a bit of a story with that. Anyone that knows about AC/DC probably knows the history about Kukuzi. M Audio, again, and Ableton, of course, all studio software and the alike. That's what's happening there. Again, we've come halfway down. We're on the right-hand side this time. And here we go, Native Instruments. I mean, very important for us. Again, we're doing the DJing and production side of it. An imperative name that we need. Crown Amplification, Crown Amplifiers. I mean, rock solid reliability and a history that is very rich and fulfilling. B&W, Bowers & Wilkins, I mean, high-end hi-fi speakers, a lot of you know, but also in the studio world as well with monitors, and well, it's always been a benchmark. Akai again, a lot of general electronics, everything from studio and production, of course, to a lot of hi-fi components we certainly saw a lot of in the 70s, 80s, even 90s as well. And still the name is still synonymous with high-end equipment. We've obviously got Sabian with the cymbals, Pasty, Ziggy and Pearl. Obviously drums, we're sort of getting to the drum things here on that side of it. We now move down into the left-hand quadrant now, and we obviously have Casio and Korg. It goes without saying, keyboards and electronics in general. I mean, hey, still a great calculator as well. Boss Line 6 again, microphones and the like, Gretsch. We've got Epiphone, we've got Randall amplifiers, Martin Audio, of course, a very important name in sound and making PA equipment and sound reinforcement, but particularly Martin Audio have been the ones that have been responsible for the legendary Ministry of Sound nightclub sound system with the legendary Stax, and of course introducing the Dolby Atmos system to the club as well. Sonor, drum equipment of course, and of course Vox here with the amplification, just as important as any other of the amplification names from Marshall or Fender or the rest, Mesa Boogie and the alike, but they're all important. That's why we're here. And finally, we're down now on the right-hand side. Ernie Ball, it goes without saying, you need strings on a guitar if we're going to get some sound out of them. Sun amplification, again, a very rich, deep history that goes any more than with WEM as well. DBX Professional Products. DBX is, again, a lot of stuff you're going to see with studio equipment, live sound reinforcement, and stuff like that. Of course, we've got BSS by Harman. Again, BSS, again, making a lot of rack equipment that particularly David Gilmour, things like that, you'll certainly see are really big on what you're going to find in their flight cases. Just a lot of great equipment there. Sennheiser, again, the microphones. PV, what a legendary name at the end of the day. I mean, that's any more than something like Behringer, for example, which isn't on here, but I mean, while it's often associated with the more cheaper range of equipment, I still take my hat off to a company that is still just dominating in the sense of what they're manufacturing and their business culture of how they're doing it. I mean, they do turn out some excellent material. Now, Ministry of Sound could be deemed to be an interesting one, but of course, as not just as the infamous nightclub, but of course, their pursuit also in production values as well. Great stuff coming out of it on like the first album from London Grammar, for example. So I think Ministry of Sound, while they might, and of course they do make, you know, mainstream headphones and equipment and stuff like that, but as a name that comes to the sense of music, I'm not specifically, you know, one genre or the other. I just think it's a very important logo to have on here. Again, orange amplification, of course. Again, there's so many amplifiers. I'd love to put more on here. It is what it is. And of course, JBL, which of course are speakers and the alike. Well, that now concludes this video. So I hope you've enjoyed a look at the artwork at the moment. Again, in that video too, the one that is in the house, while I absolutely do love it, we are going to see this one finding its forever home. But what I really love about it compared to the other one is when this one was done, the colors just pop a little bit more and it certainly stands out. That's why when I was going to do this video about it, and probably the future ones where we might be discussing a bit more, including those anomalies where there's 2 entries of Kiss in here for some reason. I believe there's also 2 entries of AC/DC. Look, they're all things, again, it is what it is, and I don't think there's ever a bad thing to see that. We're going to come back and revisit that certainly later down the track. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. Again, we're trying to keep them nice and short where we can for you. The next video we've got coming up will be all about the restoration on that Pioneer amplifier of mine. Yes, it's time to give it the much needed love that it deserves. And let's see what we can scoop out of that one next. We've still got videos coming up to do with the stylus, of course. And it goes without saying that I've got a few surprises up my sleeve I've been working on. So we're going to be sharing that. So there's going to be actually a few videos rolling off shortly in the next few weeks. So you won't have to wait too far from that. And we'll just keep proceeding as we go. Again, some other projects, people that follow the other videos that I do, there's a lot that needs to be happening. And there's only so many hours in the day, but I promise you we are getting there. And I hope you enjoy. Stay safe, be good, party on. We'll see you in the next one. Toodles.